Get in here, get in here, get in here. My MJ Harris imitation.
So actually, I left my notes over here. So, hey, thank you for joining us for this edition of Let's Talk. You know, since the last time we spoke, let's talk. Last time we spoke, man, there was a lot going on. I'm actually gonna close this camera. It's kind of distracted. There's a lot is happening in the country. I mean, golly, I don't even know where to start, but actually I took some notes just about the multitude of things that are happening. And if we don't get more people in the room, it looks like you and I are gonna be dialoguing. But if you're in the room, go ahead and give us a quick shout out. Throw something up on the screen, throw up your deuces, something like that. We see that the count is increasing.
Yeah, definitely. If you can just throw your name.
You're holding my hair. Thank you.
Sorry. My bad.
Holding my hair. I can't move my hair. She tripping. Anyhow, really? That's how we're gonna act.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, honey. As you were saying.
No, I'm just saying there's so much is happening. Wow, I was gonna say the last time we actually spoke. Oh gosh, last week we ran a previous segment, and then the president came with his diagnosis of COVID-19, the coronavirus, and I kind of went on live and thought he was going to get some common sense from it, but it just common sense. But it just doesn't seem like that's plausible or possible. So the interesting thing is I was reading something yesterday, and it said that there was a conference of psychiatrists, I believe at Harvard, one of the Ivy League schools, had a conference of psychiatrists there, and they concluded that he's crazy, pretty much.
Wow.
And they said they felt like they were obligated to tell the American public, whoa, I mean, my Lord. If you hear some banging, we are in our studio and we have some upstairs tenants. So just kind of ignore that part. As much as you can. But, you know, I don't even know what to say about the state of everything. Like I said, there's so much happening. So I'm just going to run down a couple of things that I saw. First of all, after the guy contracted the coronavirus.
You ain't gonna acknowledge him by name.
I can't. He's, you know, I feel like, you know, when COVID-19 first came out, and then the whole George Floyd thing first happening, we were just exhausted as a race, as people. I was kind of starting to recover, and now I just feel exhausted all over again. I'm exhausted with his stupidity.
Okay. It could be his stupidity. I would say his antics, the garbage that he spews, and then you all, I guess, to add insult to injury or add flies to shit.
No pun intended on that.
I didn't even think of
that.
that.
Thing too. That also happened. I forgot about the vice president. I gotta write that down because I want to talk a little bit about that.
I mean, he just, I think. I honestly believe, because a lot of his advisors and people that have resigned from positions that they used to work for him all say the same thing. He's being advised on what to say and what not to say, and then like a little kid, he has a temper tantrum, and then he just spews whatever whatever just comes to mind. And I said to Lisa today, as we were watching some, he was at one of his rallies.
A rally, I guess the other thing is rally again, but go ahead.
Yes. And I noticed it before, but it really stood out to me this time. He cannot complete an entire sentence. Like, it's, and Lisa goes, well, he does it on purpose. I was like, who does that on purpose? You just sit there and look at him like,
because you can't pin anything. He says, well, it was really incredible. You know, the numbers were incredible and they're coming down. And it's so incredible that nobody's ever experienced this kind of incredibility before. It's really incredible. And we are coming around the bend. I mean, it's the furthest, but it's the best bend in the United States history of government. It's incredible. And you just stay tuned and see how incredible it's going to be. That's the kind of,
That was just a big.
yeah, it's a big loopity loop, right? If we had a roller coaster that was actually had that many loops in it, I would go to the park all the time. I like to run upside down and all that, but not in everyday life. I think loopity loop. So so that's my point. He got diagnosed with COVID-19. We never heard anything about the kid until today. So again, narcissism. They didn't bother saying that the kid was even sick.
No.
We just focused on the knucklehead senior. And then we heard about his wife being sick a little bit, but we just heard about the kid today. You're holding my hair again.
Oh my God. Here.
But anyway, so one would say, and it begs it, it leads to the, he now says, go out, COVID, get over it, don't let it scare you, all of this stuff. People remember he had 10 doctors around the clock, if not more, around the clock. He's the president. He's getting stuff I don't care what kind of health care you have, you're never gonna get the same kind of medical treatment. Don't be stupid. I mean, you're just never gonna get it. Never. I'm doing that on purpose. So, but that wasn't enough, right? The knucklehead is back out. It actually begs the question, did he really ever have the damn virus? I just don't believe it. I'm sorry. At first I was gonna give him the benefit. I just don't believe it. Because now he's back out at a rally in Iowa today, Des Moines, Iowa. So glad. Drake University, shout out to you, to all my Drake people. If you're still in Iowa, get out of there. It's going to be a cesspool of super spreader by tomorrow.
Well, okay, that word just triggered something because we were watching CNN with Wolf Blitzer, and he was saying that a lot of people they're not realizing, but the family events, everybody, because it's about to be holiday time, and people are going to be indoors, especially upstate where it's cooler. If you're downstate in the southern states, it's a little warmer. You can still be outside and be socially distant, but it's still not good. And now that it's getting colder, we're going to be indoors. People are still wanting to congregate. And when they have those events, they are called super spreaders. And I think one of the...
Was Dr. Fauci?
Dr. Fauci had... no, was it Dr. Fauci? No. Do you know?
Well, Sanjay Gupta was one of the two. That was the two that were on staff.
Well, either one of them said there was an event that a political official had, was like their daughter's Sweet 16 party, and it was a big event with only like maybe about 60 to 70 people, and it was like a banquet hall, but that was a super spreader because from that event, 40 people were already positive and they went their own way. So you just like come together, infect everybody else, and then they all go their other ways. But we all have to be very, very conscious. COVID-19 has not gone away. Actually, it's on the rise, and we have to be very, very conscious about it used to be 10 people in a gathering, now it's down to 5. So if it's down to 5, it's only 2 of us, only 3 other people are going to be in our space. I don't even know if the 3 other people are going to be in our space, will be apart, but still, you have to be conscious. There are so, I think the precautions that when COVID first started they're still in place. There was something they said earlier today. I think it was Dr. Sanjay. No,
doesn't matter.
Don't matter. Basically, you have the 3 W's. They said wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. If you practice those 3 W's, I'm telling you right now, those are very, very important. They were important then. They're even more important now because everything is on the rise. They had on CNN. I know if you haven't seen it, for those who have, the COVID started and it went here and then it decreased and then it spiked again once it got hot because everybody got back to normal, doing what they're doing, partying, and not using them 3 W's. You got to wash your hands. You got to sanitize your hands. Wear your mask. People don't understand how important a mask is. Mask is saving lives. I'm telling you. So, but we have to be very, very way more conscious. There is something called a round two that's coming through, and they said, of course, it's going to be worse. And the numbers are going to spike and go through the roof.
So let me piggyback on what you were just talking about. So the particular event you were speaking about happened to be, it was Andrew Cuomo who was addressing it because it happened in New York. There was a Sweet 16 party given, and he was chastising the people, the parents, for doing it because it resulted in 40 more positive COVID cases as a result of that, and now they are spreading. And so they were saying, you need to be more careful, particularly about family gatherings are now the triggers, they're the trigger points for spreading the virus because you bring family members together, and as she said, they go back out into the community with other folks. But the other thing is that if you look at the map right now, there used to be some states that were green, meaning they didn't have a bunch of COVID cases. If you look at the maps now across the country, there is not one state that does not have a lot of COVID cases. And right now, the United States is diagnosing 50,000 cases per day. So it is out of control. It is nowhere near done. And what we've done, actually, they are predicting now that we will not get a preliminary vaccine until April, if we can even get it into testing within the next 3 to 4 months. So we're just making this really, really bad and ridiculous for ourselves. But that again goes back to this whole rally thing in Iowa, where the Trumper is having his event tonight, and they were interviewing people on the way. None of them had masks. So what they're doing is they're staging it to look like people have masks. They have issued masks to those who will be sitting directly behind him while he's speaking, but they've already shown massive wide-angle shots where most people are not practicing social distance, nor are they wearing masks. So we're not going to get rid of this because the attitude is, well, they interview a couple of people, well, I'm going to die from something. If I'm going to trust the good Lord. If I die, let it be from an event that I want to go to, or just silly.
We're all going to die at one point in time.
Yeah, just pure silliness.
But if you can avoid it by just wearing a mask. Come on, people. 216,000 people dead. 216,000 deaths in the U.S. 7.8 million cases in the U.S. 38 million nationally. 1.8 million deaths nationally. Come on. Those numbers are staggering. If they're not mind-blowing you, I don't know. They said none of the states are going in the right direction. They just pointed at because on the map, they usually, I know if you haven't seen it on the news, there's the green colors, like you're still good. Yellow, you're getting a little worse, and then orange, and then red is.
It's pink and then red.
Oh yeah. But there's no yellow and no green at all.
Yeah, everything is in the red and the pink. So.
And it's just, that was terrifying in itself. They're saying one of the things that because we opened up to the sporting events, even though it's still limited, that's one of the reasons that it's on the rise. Also, family gatherings, of course, they said there's a 13% increase in children having it. And that's probably because what? They went back to school. Everybody's not virtual. There are some schools and some districts that are back to school. Like the other day, I'm going to be honest with you, I was driving and I saw a playground. Kids are being kids. Ain't no mask, ain't no social distancing. The kids is on the swing, the other kid is pushing them because they're kids. How do you going to have them hey, have recess, but don't play with each other? Be 6 feet apart. That's almost impossible. It's hard for grown folks to do, let alone children. And I think that you got to be very conscious. You've got to know what you need to do to protect yourselves and protect family members. That's it right now.
So, the news as far as the coronavirus is not getting any better, in short. And we all have to do our parts, okay? So that's the big takeaway. I mean, like she said, the 3 W's, what were they? Wear your mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. And so that we ask you to guard other people, even if you want to have reckless regard for yourself. If you do those things, those will help other people. And I know personally, I have one grandparent that's still alive, and I purposely don't see her. I talk to her on the phone, but I don't go see her. And when I go by the house, I stay outside. I would not be able to deal with a diagnosis that she was COVID positive, and we wondering if I was the one who infected her. Now I've been tested. We actually both been tested, and so we're not positive. But that doesn't matter. We don't know that. I mean, I don't know. We don't know anything. We just don't know enough about it. So that's the takeaway here. There are other things that are happening. I want to roll back a little bit before the president got diagnosed, and there was the vice president Joe debate, which was hilarious.
Wait, Vice President
Joe debate.
Yes. I was
Joe
like,
debate.
what? Joe debate.
Joe debate. And, oh my gosh. So I had mixed emotions about it. Mixed feelings about it, because I thought, here's the thing. The vice president is a very dangerous person. He's dangerous because you know Trump is crazy. You know it. His behavior is erratic. He's crazy. The message he's sending is completely off the charts. The problem and the challenge is that the vice president actually says exactly the same things, but sounds credible doing it. That's dangerous. That'll convince somebody to push the red nuclear button before they think about it, because he has credibility. He knows how to present himself. I did also so he's a dangerous person, but I got a kick out of Kamala's facial expressions, because I thought it was really fitting. The next day, the memes went around with it had about 9 different facial expressions of her, and asked people to assign what they meant. And I laughed, because if you were raised by a woman of color, you knew what they meant. It meant shut the hell up before I come over and slap the crap out of you a couple of times. But I thought she was I wanted her, I think, I hated the fact that she didn't answer some questions a little bit tighter to the vest. The one she did, I think her best moments were when she dug in and she said, I'm the expert on this stage, and nobody sitting on this stage is going to tell me anything about, and she went on to give her dissertation. I wanted her to, he nailed her, and I think she could have gut punched him really good here, but he nailed her when he said, well, first of all, her opening remark was that this is the worst presidential, the worst presidential atrocity or whatever in the U.S. history. She gut punched him. They were not ready for that. That was her opening statement. And I mean, she took his breath away with that. But he nailed her when she didn't answer the questions. He called her out on it. And I really wanted her to say to the moderator, okay, he's not going to answer your question, but he's not going to answer your question because of A, B, C, and D. Give a real quick dissertation about the reason that he avoided to answer her question, and then answer it herself. So by saying, when the moderator asked him the same question, you say, if you avoid it, say, well, Rashida's not going to answer your question because A, B, C, and D. I'm going to answer your question because the American public has the right to know. So here's the answers. And then, but she needed to be really concise because the time, right? She needed to spit that out and then come back and gut punch him and give it her. Because if she'd done that once or twice, he'd stop shifting and saying, well, she's not going to answer the question.
Well, yeah, I will say there were a couple of times where I know when you are in that position that she's in, and just like it's very similar to the position Barack and Michelle are in, you are under a microscope. But right now, I think she had moments, when you boxing, the theory is you got to get your rhythm. You got to find that weak spot. And then when you find you have your moment, wow! And she had a couple of moments like that, but there were a whole lot of moments where she did way too much dancing for me. And then it took her so long to get her point across. The time was up and the moderator began to interrupt, which on top of the moderator interrupting, then Pence would jump in to what she was commenting on what she was saying. So it was a bunch of chaos. And then you would lose that moment where she was supposed to bow again. Like, and oh my gosh, come on. I'm just saying. But when she was, I think that was the key for me that I took away, that was a weakness in her part, because he was doing, I'm going to say this, I could be a moderator because I would have been going the hell off on Donald Trump and what's his name? Pence, because they were so rude. I mean, beyond and above rude when it came to the moderator. The moderators did not have enough grasp. If y'all shut the hell up and okay, you said what you said. We respected that. You still don't even abide. How many times do we have to tell you to abide by the rules that you agreed to?
They don't follow the law, and they agreed to uphold the Constitution. I mean, y'all got to be kidding me, right? So
what makes you think that they're going to?
They don't follow the rules. But here's the other conflict of interest. So I know, but I think overall she gave a better debate showing than he did, because they were just the reality is all I wanted her to do was to keep him if she kept him on the defense, that's all she really needed to do. Because the reality is she's not the vice president, nor is Biden the president. So they don't have to defend a record. All she has to do was attack their record. They have to defend it. She doesn't have to defend it. She could just simply say, well, I'm not you. So what should you have done? I'm not the president. Joe's not the president. Clearly Joe's not the president because we're in chaos. Had Joe been president, and you know what I mean? She needed to turn that around on him a few times. But I think overall she did a really good job of holding the rope, because that's all she had to do. Pence, on the other hand, had to push it over the top, and I don't think he did that. I think she definitely got him on that debate. So, but the fly stole the show. Yeah. The fly stole the show altogether. And so, you could have scripted that better. I mean, the only thing that could have gotten better to that was Hanna-Barbera or some other cartoons over the years. Hanna-Barbera, or Looney Tunes or whatever. They're probably out of business. They did the Flintstones. The Looney Tunes, that's my point. That's the only thing that could have been better, is that they had actually been able to script a mechanical fly in there, because flies like shit. But everybody clearly got that one. So that was just funny. The last thing on the debate thing, for the moderators, it's kind of tough. You have to respect, or you're supposed to respect, the office. And I think she was trying to respect the office at the time. But then I realized that she's actually a Republican fundraiser. And she had given a private fundraiser at her house to support them. So, oh boy, it gets really messy. But anyway, I didn't want the opportunity for us to kind of debrief on that to be missed in this section, since we haven't been on since that happened. So I want to double back to something that I mentioned earlier, which was, the president's foolishness, tomfoolery about the COVID and the corona, because now he's touting this whole thing about Joe Biden being old. Somebody help me with the math here. They're like the same age, right? But he's saying he's not calling him Sleepy Joe anymore. Here's the indication that Republicans are losing. The narrative changes every day. Every day.
We said it the same time.
Every day. And when you're winning, and the thing that's winning you keep pushing that same agenda. It's changing every day. So they haven't found the 1-2 combination yet. They found a jab, and the jab has been just for the moment, just for the day, just for today's talking points, and it's over. Yeah. So, but Sleepy Joe is old and needs to be in an old folks' home. Okay, if I go with that, I have to give them a room together. He's got to be kidding me, right?
He's just as old.
Yeah, so that's not going to work for him either. And the president continuing to say things like, women in the suburbs, I'm saving you. Okay, so that's back to the whole back to the whole Frankenstein thing. Frankenstein was not a mean monster at all. He was scared of fire. He just actually was trying to be helpful. But the village people made up in their mind that he was a big, hairy, scary guy, and so they chased him away, right? Much like the Disney thing about Beauty and the Beast. We just decided that the guy was grizzly looking, so we scared him away. Uh, Stop, Fantasyland, Fantasy Island, Mr. Rourke, the plane, get on it and get up out of here with that crap. Ain't nobody trying to go for all that. And that's insulting to women on top of that. It's sexist and it's insulting.
You know, it just, I am baffled by when he said that statement, and all of the women behind him with their pink shirt. I was like, are y'all stupid?
They said stupid is a stupid.
Are y'all serious right now? Like, do y'all hear him? I don't know if we're watching the same show, so whatever.
Another great thing happening, and oh man, I was on fire yesterday. A couple of things. So I don't know if you guys have been catching the Supreme Court. Oh my gosh, hearings. Let me just look at my face.
Let you just look at your face.
I need to just look at my face on this one. So I was ticked because I understand that gun violence in America has gotten a little ridiculous. I understand in Chicago in particular, gun violence is off the chart right now. But how the hell you gonna blame Gary, Indiana specifically for the increase in gun violence in Chicago? You didn't, that's the crazy part. He said, this is Durbin. He said, it is a direct result of guns being sold to Illinois residents in Gary, Indiana. No. Oh, and he said, and gun shows in Gary. You mean Crown Point, dude? I mean, now, I don't know. I can't say that I know of every event, but I don't know. If somebody hit me up and let me know. Are there actual gun shows in Gary, or are they out in Crown Point and perhaps Valpo or whatever surrounding areas? I've not known a gun show to actually be in Gary. I just can't understand that. Seemingly, when they want to talk about Northwest Indiana, something's bad, it's something in Gary, but if it's something good, it's everywhere but Gary. I'm just saying. So somebody help me. If you're on here and you know if that is the case, can you tell me if there's been gun shows in Gary? Because I'm missing that. And I don't know if you had anything you want to say on that, but no, okay. And so I've been watching a little bit of the hearings, and oh my gosh, I think this woman, Barry Cooney, is a pretty smart chick. Here's the problem. She's a constitutional genius. I mean, I say genius. She knows the Constitution like the back of her hand. That's a good thing. The problem is she's stuck in the time period that it was written. And here's what I mean by that. She's looking at the Constitution right now and trying to apply the law of the Constitution to 2020. It's not the same. And here's an example. They recited a case in which she found someone to be a felon, a young gentleman. I can't remember the crime he committed, but what was the crime he committed?
Insoles.
Oh, okay.
Into shoes.
Yes.
To elderly people, and said that their insurance would cover it, but it didn't.
It was insurance fraud. It was medical malpractice fraud. It was something of that nature. But anyway, he was convicted of a felony. But then he later came back to purchase some weapons, and they said, "Well, you can't buy a weapon because you have a felony." And she overruled that. She dissented. She said, "Yeah, he can buy a weapon because his crime, the crime that he committed to become a felon, should have no impact on his Second Amendment right to bear arms." Well, okay. Again, it was a nonviolent, yeah, right. So she's getting into the subjectivity of whether or not something is a nonviolent felony when the law just says if it's a felony, period. But it's a felony. So he should not have been able to buy a gun or any kind of arms, right? But she allowed that. And then on a different case where she said if you're a felony, you should not be allowed to vote. Those were the same, again, original laws written for voter suppression. So how is it that somebody could commit a felony under one, commit a felony under one circumstance, and they can have the right to Second Amendment to get arms or whatever and not lose their rights, but you're going to say another felon cannot vote? I mean, a right for just, what in the hell, when the hell did voting kill somebody? I mean, I don't, so her application of the constitutional law is like dated for when the founding fathers sat down and wrote the damn thing. That's the problem. So like this. I'm happy that she's smart. I want her to be smart enough to make adjustments to understand they're not talking about a gun where you load it with gunpowder and blow it like the Hatfields and the McCoys. We're talking about semi-automatic weapons that you want to give to felons on one hand, but you don't want the same felon to vote. This don't make no sense. So my concern is that she's going to roll back the clock and having us think of that women, didn't have the right to vote, nor do you have the right to decide what's right for your body or what's correct for your body. So I'm just concerned that her thinking is so antiquated that is all of the progress that women and people of color have made, all of the progress that's been made will be undone because she can't distinguish original context or apply, scale it, if you will, to today's world. That's bothering me. So I'm not in favor of her, not to mention that we shouldn't even be doing this right now anyway, because we're in the middle of votes. And so, anyhow, I don't know if you had anything.
You said most of the things that we heard in the conversation.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at some notes that I took because, like I said, there's just been so much that's happening. Here's the most proud thing. I was watching a tape. Roland Martin issued a little videotape earlier. I think it was yesterday, and the lines all where he was in Texas, the line was wrapped around the building for voting. So thank you. Early voting has started everywhere. We've been reading a list of early voting spots or the states. Most of us, I think it was 44 of the 50 have early voting. Please get out there. I'm so proud of us. I mean, there's no telling how the election is going to turn out, but I don't know that anybody in this country has ever been this much engaged, or the country has ever been this much engaged. So I'm glad that we are engaged enough. And I think it's because of stuff like Amy Barrett Cooney's perspective. It's because we're tired of dealing with the Lindsey Grahams. It's because we're tired of dealing with O'Connell. We're just tired of that foolishness. And even today's hearings, Lindsey Graham said something so racially ridiculous about the good old days of segregation. He was talking to her during the hearings today. He was saying, are we going to return to the good old days of segregation? And yeah, if she gets in the office, if she gets to the Supreme Court, yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be going, because she's going to turn some things back. In particular, that question was in reference to the Board of Education, the Thurgood Marshall case, Brown versus the Board of Education, the case that made Thurgood Marshall famous. So yeah, they were asking her if she thought that ruling was fair. And, again, the fact of the matter is, when we're in a country that is in 2020, who finds the Republicans are bringing up cases like the Brown versus the Board of Education, that says something about the mindset right now in this country. Whether or not it actually happens or not is one thing, but the mindset is still open to saying, yeah, well, we haven't quite forgotten. So when you say to people of color, we need to let the talk about racial stuff go, or we need to get over it, and this, how do you get over it when every time you turn around, when you find out really that this is still on people's minds, that they're okay with even bringing this crap up, that it could be possibly entertained as being undone. So are you really asking her to consciously contemplate undoing that precedent after all of these years? I mean, really, you want civil unrest? That's what you're going to get.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure what the goal of the Republican Party is at this point, except to cause a civil war, because to me, that's what they're on the verge of.
That's what we're headed.
So I'm actually out of my talking points for the day, and I've talked enough, so you can have this. Go right ahead, Ms. Rasheida.
Well, of course, we were talking about the voting, and in Georgia, there were people who were waiting in line for 10 hours to vote. And they were talking about why it's taking so long. And one thing that they were saying were that because at the polling stations, I have worked the polls for about 3 years in a row now, and I forfeited that position to try and do a few other things. But in that process, they're having problem with the polling pad. So when you first walk in, they ask for your ID, and then you have that. They have an iPad, and they scan your ID. They're saying they're having problems with that in the system, but only in Georgia. Right now, or in
one of the battleground places.
Georgia, I think South Carolina is also one of the states. Florida. They're saying that the systems are constantly breaking down, so it's taking them longer. Actually, I'll be honest with you. When I went to early vote, they brought in 2 more machines while I was in line. So I think the lack of the number of machines that not working well, and then on top of that, they said in Texas, of course, they broke records for the last 2 days in voter turnouts. They said they said when it's a little closer to the election day, they're going to have a couple of polls that are open for 24 hours, but they're only open for 20 hours for that one day.
Oh, Houston in particular.
Yes, so that because people who work 3 to 11 or work 11 to 7, 3 to 11, you got to get off work. The actual locations for early voting are closed by then. So this allows some more people who work those evenings and overnight shifts to still get their early voting.
And speaking of that, we're the only country that does not let people off to vote. Yeah. Most other countries, it's a full day's event. Folks don't go to work. It is their patriotic and civic duty to do it. And so they make sure that they are able to do it. It's just sickening.
Well, in Harris County, they were talking about, it's still in Texas, that it's voter suppression because they had 12 drop-off boxes in this county. And I don't know if it's the mayor or the governor of, I don't know who it is of this county, took all of them out except for one.
Yes, again, voter suppression to make it difficult for folks. So here's the thing, wherever you are, make sure that you get, make sure that you get to your local churches. There are a number of local churches who are helping assist people get to voting, etc. So, grab a neighbor, check with your family, friends. We've called our kids and said, make sure you get your butts there, and encourage folks around you to vote. I can see some questions rolling up. So what are some comments?
From Miss Kia Michelle. She says, she's coming in a little late. She wants to know what our point of view is on celebrities coming out saying that this is their first time voting.
My opinion is thank you for growing up. And then I mean that kind of nasty with an attitude, because where the hell you been? And I know, like, for my personality, people always say I come on really too strong. But I'm just going, where are your parents? Where was the parental guidance that didn't stress for you? When I was growing up, my grandmother walked to the voting polls and made us walk with her because we didn't have a car. But where is that talk? It can't just, everything that you want your kids to do and to learn to be responsible for can't come from the outside world. You got to do some planting. So, I just wondered, these celebrities, what are they voting for now because they're in the 1%? And they want to keep the nut case in office. I mean, I'm embarrassed. Shaquille O'Neal voting for the first time. At least Snoop could say he had a reason because he thought he could not vote because he has a felon. Well, what the hell is Shaquille O'Neal gonna say? And not only that, he actually held a public office in Florida. What the hell? He was a civil, he was a police officer for a while. Man, what kind of foolishness? Just plain old tomfoolery. But my opinion on it, I'm glad they finally got their behinds in the race. I just don't understand what you're doing that you're never paying attention. But damn, you're grown.
Okay. So let me tell you my perspective on this. Similar, but not quite the same. So you're telling me you're just now registering to vote. It's going to be your first time voting.
Ridiculous.
We've had 2 elections where we had our very first African-American president, and you mean to tell me you didn't vote then? What the hell? I understand this is a very important because somebody said, hold on, I wrote this down because I had to repeat this.
Ridiculous.
People are voting like their lives depend on it. Yeah, if you look my color or anybody with some type of melanin in your skin, yes, your life depends on it.
But it always
It always did, but I just feel like, come on, man. Like, okay, I understand the state of this country is crazy. I'm sorry. 45 is a hot damn mess. And I'm really ready for him to get out of office. But what pisses me off about celebrities, come on now. I know y'all normal people and y'all everyday people too, but you are celebrities and people are looking at you and they're looking up to you and some of the things you do on screen and off screen. So one of the things you should do, because you and all I know, even if you're not a celebrity, but this is specifically to you, the celebrities, you have the platform, you have the know-how, you know what you need to do. You know about your ancestors and how many people have died or how many people have been lynched or how many people have been drugged or how many people have been pulled and maimed just so that you have this right. And then for you to come in 2020 to say this is your first time voting, other than, like you said, people who were felons and thought they couldn't, and now you know you can, you know better. When you know better, you do better. I appreciate that you're out there voting now, but I believe your ass should have did it a long time ago, especially if you're a grown-ass person over 30. That's just how I'm feeling. That's just
it's my opinion, it's ridiculous. So, it always cracks me up. It reminds me of kids who I can't wait till, your kid, I can't wait till I'm 15. Then it's, I can't wait till I'm 18. Then it's, I can't wait till I'm 21. And where the hell are you going if you're not going to take responsibility when you reach any of those ages? You're 30 and you still ain't got no better or more responsible than you were when you're 15. So what was the point? And you didn't just get, unless you're a celebrity who just got your money today, in 2020, your ass should have been voting.
And honestly, to me, I think celebrities have the leg up because they are celebrities. And I love and I give kudos to every celebrity out there that have been seriously, even before this election, prior elections when Barack was running. Listen, I appreciated those who used their platform, but at the same time, right now, I'm really outdone with Shaquille O'Neal and what's his name?
And let me put it like this: Shaq gonna be Republican. That ain't gonna surprise nobody here, right? Okay, because it's about the money. The interest, like the thing is, all right. So if you got a lot of money, I get it. I have my wages have long outgrown my lifestyle. But I've not because I made a bunch of money, but because I matured. And so here's the thing. After you get all the stuff you want, stuff can only go so far. Then what? What's the end game? Even as a celebrity, when you got 60 million, I was reading some stuff the other day. We were looking at celebrities' salaries and net worth. There are people worth $10 billion, $50 billion, $60 million, $700 million. Now what? What there isn't anything conceivable within this physical realm that we call life or earth that you cannot do for yourself when you get ready. So what is then the end game for you? What do you do with yourself? Here is a thought. Help some of God's other people. How about you do that which means you use your platform to advance the quality of life for other folks. That is, and then people want to, I don't understand what's the need to slam LeBron. I don't give a damn about his basketball. He played basketball. The man's great at basketball. That's how he make his money. But he also is giving so much more beyond basketball. But we got celebrities who are not participating in the political process. And then we got LeBron, who's fully engaged, and we still pissing on him. So I don't understand how we're thinking about them.
Okay. Any tips on how you can research their own local election candidates?
How to research your own local election candidates? Oh, tips on it. Well, I don't know if I have any tips on how to reach out to your city council. I mean, really, if you pick up your local newspaper, they should be covering them. Well, you got the Northwest Indiana Times. You've got other people. So here's a thing. You can, even if you don't know all of the folks to research, if you go to some of the things that you support, if you support some of the community-based programs, then you need to find out which candidates locally support those community-based programs. Go to city council meetings. I don't know, there are a lot of cities where the mayors have open weekly. All mayors should do this. First of all, if you're a political figure on the line, here's a tip for free. You need to be having a weekly scorecard. If you don't have a weekly scorecard, you know what that means. It's easy. Here it is in a nutshell. You to make a long laundry list of all the things that need to be done, that you think need to be done. You put that out to the citizens that you represent and say, here are all the things we need to be done. Then there's buy-in from them because they know what you know. And then every week you meet with the citizens again, not physically, but on that scorecard and say, here we are. We started with 50 items. We got week number 2. We got 3 of those items done. And now for the week number 3, we're going to work on the next 2. And then week number 4, we're going to get it. And hopefully over time, what they will see is the list reduces from 50 and they see your metric progress across the board week after week. Now, if you're a political figure and you didn't get that, drop me a line. I'm going to help you, because where you're failing is that you're not being transparent and putting stuff out there. Now, for the people who want to know what they're doing, you need to be on your city council people. You need to be reading your local newspaper. You need to be asking questions. You need to demand from the mayor and those folks. Everybody should have, like I said, some kind of weekly podcast or something going about the progress or what have you. I would say get involved with the churches, because there's a separation between church and state. That can be kind of tricky. But again, you have to find people who are aligned. Now, be smart too. Find people who are aligned with the things that you support. But you need to look over the fence at what your adversary is doing, so you know one of 2 things. One, you may find out you have more in common, and you can do what the Republicans and Democrats don't do, is to reach across the aisle and build a better machine. That's one thing. It's great to have thinking that's a direct competition or conflict with yours, because it helps you both to grow. Nobody's going to grow, expand your platform, or expand your vision without being uncomfortable. We've talked about that zillion times. I've talked about that in our personal Instagram and all that stuff. You are never going to grow if you're not comfortable, or unless you're uncomfortable. So you need to be uncomfortable. Reach out to your city council, reach out to the mayor's office, reach out to your commissioners, your planners, get in these meetings, because everybody should be having public forums anyway as part of their regular weekly, updates or whatever to the citizens that they serve. All right.
Hopefully that answered Tia Michelle's question. Wonderful.
If there are any other questions, hey, before in our last couple of minutes, we want to give you the rundown that you can find us on Instagram,
Facebook. We also have the YouTube show. And then if you want to be notified, make sure you hit the subscription button, hit that notification button, and go ding, ding, ding. So every time we go live or every time we post a new video, you will see us on the television. No, wait, it ain't on television, but no.
I thought she was going to say you will see us on the View. And I was
Okay.
going to say, okay. All right, Whoopi.
Yes.
But yeah, and another shout out, Christmas time is coming. The holiday season is creeping up on us. I did look in our inbox today. We've got a couple of vendors that will be coming on. Hopefully we'll have them start in the queue by next week. We want to remind vendors that if you need a place to put your wares, show your wares so that people can find you. You cannot wait till the week before Christmas to do stuff.
Nope.
You got your stuff together now. If you want to partner with us, we do have a Lisa and Rasheida favorite things page. We can put some of your stuff on our favorite thing, but that's provided we like them. That's got to be one of our favorite things. But we're willing to offer space to those things to give you more coverage. We have quite a few users. We're up to 11,000, I think, people on Instagram follow us on a consistent basis, and our YouTube numbers are growing. So feel free to reach out to us at Lisa and Rasheida at gmail.com. Lisa and Rasheida at gmail.com, and or hit us up on on Lisa and Rasheida Facebook page, or inbox us there, and we'll be happy to schedule some time to discuss what it is that you want to showcase and get you on the air with us.
Definitely, because we definitely want to get out all of these amazing. I'm excited about our favorites because I have some really cool favorites that I want to share with you all. Because you know how Oprah always share her favorites, and now her favorites be really kind of cool. I found some really cool stuff too, and it's nothing that's going to break the bank. And of course, we did say holiday season is coming, and of course, everything is. I honestly believe during the holiday season it's going to be. It's gone COVID, and we're all going to be in and socially distanced. The good thing is I love the fact that we gotta order ahead of time so that we can get these presents and then get them back out. We already know the postal system is slow, so we got a couple of things working against us. But if you do it ahead of time, you see the product you like, order it, buy it, send those gifts out. I'm telling you, this is going to be even though COVID is growing, we are stronger than it. We got to stay united. We have to work them 3 W's. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and watch your distance. From 3 W's. Seriously. So you all, thank you so much for taking time out to spend with us and listening to our point of view and listening to what we have to say. And then thank you for all of the people who came and watched in the watch party no one came into the Zoom room with us this evening, but it's all right. But thank you so much.
Speaking of that, because my brain is churning about how to get more people to Zoom room. There's a contest that's going to be coming up. We're going to see who comes into the Zoom room. Actually, I'm going to have to say we've got 2 people who come into the Zoom room quite regularly. They neither one have been on lately. But I'm going to say we're going to automatically send them a gift. But we're going to put some rules out there and see who can get to join us in the Zoom room. Okay. All right? So until next week, thank you. Drop us a line. Drop us your questions. We appreciate you, and we love you. Good night. Good night.